Good evening. My name's Cliff Kahili. I'm the city manager, and I want to welcome everyone to our Town Hall Tuesday. And it's one we do every year. It's about the budget, and it's an exciting time for staff. And we have several staff members here tonight. You can see how enthusiastic they are about our budget process. But this is the time of year when we put together a lot of plans to execute the programs and the services that we provide to citizens. And it's not an easy task, and we'll kind of get into that process here in a minute. First of all, those of you who have never been to Town Hall Tuesday, just want to remind you that we do stream these live, and they are also available on our website afterwards. So when you just want to make sure everybody knows that they could be on camera tonight. And we have a program, but anytime you have a question, feel free to stop us down. We don't want anybody to feel like you're not being heard or you want to ask that question right away. But if you are afraid to ask a question or you're not comfortable asking a question, all of the staff who are here tonight will be here until the last citizen leaves. We'll be here to answer any questions, and tonight we're blessed with pretty much a representative from every department in the city. So if you've got a burning question about why something works or why we do something a certain way, there's somebody in this room who can answer it. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started with our process. And like I said, this is the time of year for budget, but for us, it never really stops. We have a year-long process, and we've called it our model of success. It starts with an analysis of our policies and goals. And that starts off with a citizen survey. Those of you who've been around for a while have probably completed our survey the last couple of years. So the council takes that information. They take information from town hall meetings like this and other interactions throughout the year and begin to talk about where the city wants to go. And we do that in a one-day retreat format. Then we'll take that information. Staff puts a lot of information together. We go out and do some research. And then we meet again sometime in the spring, and that's where we do our prioritization. We take all of this information and we ask the council, where are your priorities? What are the things that are most important to you? And then staff comes back and we develop strategies to implement those types of programs. How many people are needed? What kind of equipment do we need? And then through the summer, we present these strategies to the council. So when they meet at their budget retreat, which happens to be this Friday, on July 19th, starting at 8 a.m., that's when the council will get together and we do all of our analysis of our revenues and our expenditures, and so we know exactly how much money we're going to have for the upcoming year and what programs we can implement. And so as you can imagine, there are a lot of needs in our community. There are a lot of great things that we could do, but we're limited by the resources that we have. And so we have to further develop our budget, and that's where the budget allocation comes from. And then starting October 1st, that's when we implement those programs. We hire new people, we get the equipment, and we go out there. But at the same time, we're starting for the next year. And that's when you start seeing your citizen survey all over again in September. This year, the council has revised their priorities and basically have taken the information from the citizen survey, and we've tried to center around about 6 priorities for our community. And these came from citizens. These are directly from our citizen survey and other input that we've received. So citizens want a safe community. They've told us they want attractive neighborhoods. They want improved transportation and mobility. They want a vibrant economy. They want a high-performing, transparent government. And citizens want a quality recreation and culture. And there's a lot to those. We're not going to get into that deep dive tonight because I think what we really want to try to convey tonight is how our city works, how we develop the budget, and what that impact is to you, because our primary source of revenue is from you, the taxpayer. And so with that, I'd like to invite our finance director, Debbie Mole, to come up and kind of go through what budgeting is for the City of Mesquite. So thank you very much for being here.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for coming tonight. We're really excited that you're here. And this is why, because city services are a return of investment that you make as a citizen of Mesquite and a property owner in Mesquite. You make the investment in the city through your property taxes, sales taxes, and user fees. And user fees would be things like your garbage collection fees or recreation fees that you might pay to participate in different programs. So all of those investments that you make are what fund the city services that come back to you as a return of investment on your dollars given to the city. And of course, property taxes are one of the bigger categories that you as a property owner are most interested, or maybe that where you feel the most effect of that investment. So the one question I have tonight to start off is, how much of the total property tax bill do you think goes to the city of Mesquite? Anybody have a guess? How much of your total tax bill goes to the city of Mesquite? Who would take a guess? 25%. Anybody else have a guess? Okay, that's very close. So less than 30% of your property taxes go to the city of Mesquite. You can see here on this chart, 25.2%. So Brenda was pretty much on the spot there, wasn't she? So, but the rest of it goes to the school district and the county and the other agencies that you see noted on this slide. So it's interesting. A lot of times when citizens get their property tax bill, they think it's all for the city, and it's really not. Only 25% comes into the city to run the vital city services that you need as a citizen of Mesquite. So let's take a deeper dive into this. So for 2019, the average home value in the city of Mesquite is $122,500. So of course we have higher values and lower values, but the DCAD values that have been determined, they've determined that the average home value in the city of Mesquite is $122,500. A property owner then, of course, would take their home value, divide it by 100, and multiply it by each of the entities' tax rates, the entities that we showed on the previous slide. So, for instance, the average home in Mesquite, their total tax bill for 2019 should have been right around $3,565. So, $1,862 went to the school district, $899 to the city of Mesquite, and then you see the rest there to the hospital district, Dallas County, and the community college district is where the rest of your tax dollars were allocated. So with that, now let's take a little bit deeper dive into just the city portion of your property tax bill. So Dallas Central Appraisal District is who sets the appraised value of each of the homes in Dallas County. So you might, as a property owner, think that the city has involvement in that, and we really don't. They keep that as a separate entity, and that's probably in your best interest that it be a different person than the city setting your values. So Dallas County sets the values, and each home is reviewed at least every 3 years to determine if that value is accurate, okay? They're looking at your market value and your taxable value. Then the city property taxes are calculated using the appraised taxable value set by the appraisal district. Again, the average home value in the city of Mesquite for 2019 at $122,500. If you apply the city's current property tax rate of 0.734 cents per $100 of value, that would get you as a property owner to your annual city tax bill of $899. So it is important to note a couple things about our tax rate. I want you to understand that the city of Mesquite and the council have not raised the tax rate as far as maintenance and operations, running the city day to day. They have not raised that part of the tax rate since 2008. That is a long time for a city. Now, you might say, well, my property tax bill went up. Why is that? Well, first off, it could be that the value of your home increased, right? We went through the recession after 2008. A lot of our values went down. Our values went back up, so you're going to see that fluctuation in your tax bill due to the taxable value of your home. The second reason is in 2015, you as the citizens of Mesquite voted to allow us to increase the tax rate for the Real Texas Roads program, which was to repair around 100 miles of residential streets throughout the city. Desperately needed, right? The survey that you all completed showed that street repairs are one of your #1 priorities. So that's why your tax bill maybe would have fluctuated. First off, in your values changing, but also in the increase for the debt side of the tax rate to pay the debt service on those capital project monies to do the Real Texas Roads project. So your average annual tax bill for the average homeowner is $899. So now if we take that to on a monthly basis, that's about $75 per month. And then with that, I want you to understand that Mesquite's monthly city tax bill on average home of $75 provides multiple things. So it provides 24-hour emergency medical services. It provides general government services, which includes a slew of things within city operations. Health services. It includes 24-hour police protection, very important to all citizens. It includes traffic services. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't have safe intersections, right? We need that. A building inspection. It includes parks, recreation, rec centers, swimming pools, and things like that. For $75 a month, you get economic development to build our city to be even better and stronger. Street services, 24-hour fire protection, planning and zoning services to make sure the city keeps operating smoothly and is laid out in a good way. Animal services, neighborhood services. We have some new programs here that includes environmental code and our new neighborhood vitality program. And then many, many, many more services that you get for your $75 a month. You get all these city services for being a citizen in the city of Mesquite. That is a great return on your investment. So I like to compare it this way as well. The average cable bill for a family is $100 per month. And maybe the average individual cell phone bill is about $70 per month. So if you think about it, the average cost for vital city services in the city of Mesquite is $75 per month. I would say that is a great return on investment here for citizens and property owners in the city of Mesquite. So let's take a look at the general fund. The city has many funds that it budgets for, and they provide different things. But the general fund, you'll hear us talk about that during the budget process. This is where the majority of the city services are funded, okay? The city's total budget for all funds is over $250 million. The general fund itself is more than half of that, right around $125 or $130 million. Runs all those city services that I just showed you on that previous slide. So this chart shows you the revenue sources, and you can see by the pie chart that property taxes and sales tax are the larger revenue sources to run city services, and they represent about 70% of the budget. Some of the other revenue sources are charges for services. That would be your solid waste pickup fees, and like the charges for using the parks and rec facilities or programs, things like that. Gross receipts are taxes that we charge on other businesses running their lines and doing business within the city. Transfers come in to fund different things within the city operation. Fines and forfeitures, that would be like our court operation when we collect from tickets and things like that. Licenses and permits, this would be building permits. Interest income, when the money comes into the city and while we're waiting to spend it, we invest those dollars to maximize the return on that money sitting in the bank. And then there are other smaller sources of income sources. This slide here shows you the general fund expenditure. So how does the city spend all that money when it comes in? You can see here the different departments are listed, the different categories, and of course here you notice that fire and police make up 54% of the general fund operation. So they're a big operation. There's quite a bit of personnel in those departments. But you can see the other areas. You have public works, planning and development, neighborhood services, libraries, parks and rec. We have to pay debt on the bonds to do our capital projects, general government services, and housing and community services. So, but again, more than half of the general fund budget is for public safety, which is a big priority to you as property owners and citizens in the city of Mesquite. Another way to look at this is in these major categories that I've listed here. So notice, and I've got the percentages here. So public safety, it's pretty clear what that is. Fire and police, the ambulances, and all of that is what makes up public safety. Debt service, this is where the city funds its capital projects, and almost every city will sell bonds to fund their major capital programs, okay, and projects. This would be things like major street construction, and then if we have to build, like you might notice that we're building fire station number 4 is being rebuilt because the other one was very small and falling apart. So fire station, like taking care of municipal buildings, and then it would be street and alley improvements, and then vehicles and computer equipment to run city operations are things that are basically funded by those kind of bonds. Public works, that's kind of pretty clear too. That would be engineering, the traffic division, streets division, those guys that are out repairing your streets on a regular basis, taking care of things. It's street lighting. I always like to share this statistic that the monthly bill to light all of the streets in Mesquite is about $100,000. So that's over $1 million just for the traffic signals and all the street lights, just to pay the electric bill for that. And we negotiate a pretty low rate, but it's still expensive to light all of the city of Mesquite. This is equipment services. The compost facility is in Public Works. Quality of our general government, this includes a slew of things like city council, city manager, economic development. It includes all of finance, information technology, the city attorney's office, city secretary. So there's quite a municipal court operations is there. Quite a bit goes on in general government. The quality of life services category, this is planning and development. Housing and community services like the public health clinic, public transportation, the animal services is in there. Neighborhood services is, like I had mentioned before, environmental code and neighborhood vitality. So a lot of things get paid there in quality of life services. And then program services, and you can see how the percentage of the portion of the budget is going smaller there. That would be your Parks and Rec and your library activities, okay? And then there's a small amount of other expenditures. So those are how the categories for all those expenditures, kind of the categories they fall into, where your money's being spent. So again, these vital services are funded through your investment of property taxes, sales tax, and then some of those other fees. Now, another thing I want to note tonight is that most city services require staff to make those services and programs possible. We're very heavy on the personnel side because that's what it takes to run these programs and services. The city has about 1,200 employees total. On an annual basis, we have about that many employees here working. Now, 1,055 of those, as you can see here, are paid for out of the general fund. And you can see public safety, between police and fire, they have the majority of that, right? And it makes sense because it takes a lot of police officers to be out there and firefighters to be protecting us. So then you see how the others fall in line here. Public Works and general government, quality of life, and program services. So a total of 1,055 employees paid for out of the general fund. So that's a vital part. It's 80% of the general fund budget is personnel cost, which makes sense. It takes the people to run and provide those services. Another thing that I wanted to show you tonight is there are other city operations that are funded, obviously, during the budget time. We have a water sewer fund. Most of you, if you're a property owner, you have to have water and sewer. So the water sewer fund budget is right around $70.5 million on an annual basis right now. We also have a drainage fund. This is called our Drainage Utility District, and this just really satisfies a requirement by the federal government and state governments to keep the drainage and runoff clean, all of that, and that's about $5.8 million. We have the Municipal Airport Fund, which is right around $1.9 million, and then the Municipal Golf Course Fund is $1.1. Now, these funds, I want you to understand this, are separate from the general fund, and it's very important that we keep those monies separate. These funds are set up to be self-sufficient. And what I mean by that is the fees that we charge for those goods or services provided cover the cost of running the operation and the infrastructure or the stuff that makes that program possible. The operations do not receive general fund monies or city tax dollars. They're self-sufficient. So it's important for you, because I think sometimes people might think, well, you know, the general fund is paying, or your property taxes are paying for water, sewer, or drainage, or airport, or golf, and they're not. The funds are supposed to be self-sufficient. So that's important to understand. Another huge part, an important part of the budget process is really citizen input. It's vitally important in the budget process. It's important to your council members to get your input because they're here to represent you and what your desires and wishes are for your city. So throughout the year, you have many opportunities as a citizen. You can reach out to your council member at any time. Their information of how to get a hold of them is readily available. So you need to reach out to them with your ideas, your concerns, your thoughts, and that for the city of Mesquite. You could attend the regular city council meetings. There's citizens forum offered at every meeting where you can voice your opinion and give ideas and thoughts or ask questions. You could attend the budget workshop, and as the city manager, Mr. Kahili, mentioned, that's this Friday at 8 o'clock right here in these rooms. And then you could attend the budget public hearings, and we'll have some dates of that noted at the end, where you could come and, again, voice your opinion about the budget process and how the dollars are being spent. So each budget, this is another thing to keep in mind, each budget there is a challenge to do more. U.S. citizens want more, to increase programs or provide more services and meet all the needs. But sometimes the challenge is that we have limited funds, right? We just went through the recession, we're kind of coming out, but it can be limited at times, the funds that we have available. Sometimes there are additional revenues available to fund those additional needs, and sometimes there are not additional funds, okay? So City Council must prioritize the most important needs to work to balance the city budget on an annual basis. And they rely on input from you as citizens. So your voice and that is important in that process. So tonight, we want to engage you in a little exercise. We've done this a couple different ways in the past. We've got a new exercise for you tonight. It's called Balanced Budget Playoffs. All right? Everybody ready for this? So we're going to do a bracket exercise to determine what is most important to you as a citizen of Mesquite. What is your priority? So, looking at this chart, what I want you to notice is through the balanced budget playoff bracket exercise, we will determine which new program or service you may want to add, that's on the left side of the chart, or which existing program or service may you want to cut in order to fund one of those programs. So say, we're down to the bottom of the budget process, and we don't have any additional money to do what you want done. So would you rather we add something new, we cut something to fund something new, or are you going to decide in the end to keep all the existing programs and not add something new? We're going to go through this balanced budget playoff exercise and we're going to battle through the brackets and decide which programs you would vote for. So, are you ready for this? Okay, I need a drum roll, right? So to take us through the playoffs, we have our awesome city budget team. So first off, we have leading the charge, leading the exercise is our playoff commissioner, Miss Myra Rogers. She's the manager of budget and financial analysis. Come on out. And then helping her control the game activity are our referees, Zakira Freedy, senior budget analyst, and Dylan Saunderson, budget analyst. And just to know, our official scorekeeper tonight is Miss Cynthia Sanchez. She's our finance systems analyst. So with that, we're going to have some fun with you, but I want you to seriously think about this. Are you going to add something? You're going to cut something to add it, or are you going to keep everything in place? So with that, let the playoffs begin. All right.
Okay, so like Debbie mentioned, on the left side are the new or existing, the new programs or services that you would consider adding, and on the right side are the existing programs or services that you'll consider cutting. So each representative will have 30 seconds to tell you about their program or service, and then you are going to vote by hand. And I'll give you a direction when it's time for you to vote. And then in the end, like Debbie mentioned, through your votes, you're going to decide if you want to add a new service by cutting an existing service or keep everything like it is. So first up is police officer and public safety support analyst. And first to tout their service is police officer.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Charlie Cato. I'm the police chief here for the City of Mesquite, and I would like to ask you to consider adding a police officer because next budget year, in August of 2020, because of the bond program that was passed by the school district, they're going to open a new middle school, and I would use this position to be a school resource officer, the SRO, for that middle school. Now, granted, the program doesn't take effect, they won't open the school till August of next year, so we're almost out of the budget year, but I would need to plan for that person to be added to the budget this fiscal year because they will need to take office before September 30th. So that is the ask of you, and so thank you for your consideration.
Okay, next is public safety support analyst.
Good evening, my name is Zach LaJoy. I'm the Director of Information Technology. We currently have 2 public safety administrators in keeping all of the public safety technology running optimally. That covers over 150 mobile data computers installed in our police cars, fire trucks, and ambulances. Additionally, we support over 700 network endpoints. That includes body cams, in-car video, technology that is used by these public safety departments 24/7. And it's important to note, despite adding so much technology over the last decade, we have not increased our staff to support this in over 12 years. So when Chief Cato's adding new staff, we need the staff to help support the additional workloads.
Okay, so now you're going to vote by hand, and you're voting to either add a police officer or add a public safety support analyst. So first, who would want to add a police officer by hand? Okay? And then who would want to add a public safety support analyst? Okay, so police officer moves on, and we'll go to the next round. Okay, next is firefighter and residential building inspector. They will come up. And first to give their speech is firefighter.
Hello, my name is Mark Kirby. I'm the fire chief here in the city of Mesquite. We're asking for 3 firefighters. Basically, why we're asking to add firefighters to our community is we provide many services to the community, one of which is fire protection, the other is EMS. So you see our little ambulances running around, so that's our EMS service. We're about maxed out at capacity on our EMS services, and we need to add an ambulance full-time. So we run about 18,000 calls in the city. About 12,000 of those are EMS calls, so that's why we're asking for 3 additional firefighters. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Armstrong, Director of Planning and Development Services. We have nearly 3,000 new homes entitled here in Mesquite, ready to be built in the near future. And right now, our inspectors are specialists. We have electrical inspectors, building inspectors, plumbing inspectors, and so forth. Well, about 2/3 of these new houses are going to be in Kaufman County out on Interstate 20, south of Interstate 20. To get all those inspectors back and forth during the various stages of development is going to be very costly and a big waste of time, and it's going to slow down inspections throughout the city. So by having a single residential building inspector who's a combination inspector, that person can be stationed out there and handle all the inspections and build good relationships with those home builders.
Okay, again, you're voting of what you would want to add. So all those that want to add firefighter, please raise your hand. Okay, a residential building inspector, raise your hand. Okay, I think a firefighter. So firefighter will move on. And now we're going to switch over to the right side, and we're going to do that quadrant up there. So this will be existing programs and services and you're going to be voting to cut them. So first up is public health clinic and branch library. Okay.
Raymond Rivas, I'm an assistant city manager here for the city of Mesquite, and I'm here to talk about public health clinic that we operate. We give almost 1,450 vaccinations to school-age children that need it to go back to school. That's a lot of lollipops. Also, we provide vaccinations to our fire police officers to help keep them protected, as well as test for things like tuberculosis, things that we want to protect our children and our public safety officials. So, public health clinic.
And you have me behind my supervisor. I think that's unfair advantage to him. My name's Virginia Munn. I'm Director of Library Services, and I'm here to represent the North Branch Library, which has been a great resource for our community for many years. Right now, it's beside a brand-new elementary school, so those kids come over after school, and they're there this summer for Summer Reading Club. We have books, of course, computers, technical help, meeting rooms, and a knowledgeable staff that's there to help everyone that comes in. Last week, the North Branch Library had 11 programs with over 400 people attending. In summary, there's many great reasons to come to the library. We serve all kinds of people in our community, including you, and we have some very big numbers if you wanted to look at some of our numbers for the library there. Just at the branch, we have almost 80,000 visits last year to the library, to the branch library only. So we're there when you need us, and when you leave, you'll have a smile on your face.
Okay, again, you're voting to cut. So would you want, by raise of hand, would you want to cut the public health clinic? Or the branch library? Okay, the branch library is safe, and and they'll move on, and the public health clinic will move on to the next round. Okay, next up is summer sizzle and other parks and recreation special events. And Summer Sizzle will go first.
Summer Sizzle is a premier event that kicks off the summer season and continues to grow each year. This year, the event drew over 5,000 people that enjoyed free live music, arts and craft activities, and viewed a spectacular fireworks show. 98% of the people surveyed at the event rated their experience at Summer Sizzle as excellent, and 58% indicated that they were first-time attendees. And if I haven't thoroughly entertained you tonight, Summer Sizzle sure will.
Hi, my name is Nikki Sassness. I'm the manager of Recreation Services, and I'm representing other Parks and Recreation special events. So special events play an important role in our city. First, they create community, identity, and pride by keeping old traditions alive and showing off what makes our community unique. For example, our annual tree lighting event highlights our small town feel in our big city. And Christmas in the Park, now in its 32nd year, is a holiday tradition many families have shared for generations. Second, special events foster economic opportunity and growth by involving local businesses and attracting visitors. Last year, over 200 local businesses, civic groups, and nonprofit organizations participated as vendors at our event. Finally, special events are fun and create lasting memories. Where else can you reel in your first fish, sleep under the stars, hunt for the golden egg, watch a movie while lounging in a pool, spin your daughter on the dance floor, or meet Santa, all in your own community? Special events. The city offers over 20 special events each year, so keep our community strong and our quality of life high and vote for special events.
Okay, so now again, you're voting for what you would cut. So all raise your hand if you would cut the Summer Sizzle. Okay, those that would cut other Parks and Recreation special events. Okay, other Parks and Recreation special events are safe. Summer Sizzle not. Okay, next we're going to move back over to the new programs and services. So next up is pothole repair crew and 2 animal service officers. And the pothole repair crew will go first.
My name's Matt Holzappel. I'm Director of Public Works, and we have 1,400 miles, lane miles of streets and alleys in the city of Mesquite. And to maintain those 1,400 miles of street, we have 39 street crew members to cover that. That's the distance between Mesquite to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in miles of street. I have some questions for you that I want you to answer before you vote on this thing. How often do you drive on Mesquite streets and have to dodge potholes? How many of you drive on Mesquite streets multiple times every day, but how often do you call or need a code enforcement officer or animal service officer? How many of you, when you have your pizza delivered to you, the pizza stuck to the top of the box because the delivery driver bounced on a rough street? How much does it cost you to replace a tire or rim on your car, or have your steering line on your car due to a rough street in Mesquite? What is it costing you as a taxpayer to not fix the streets in Mesquite? Thank you.
Wow, shots fired. All right, I'm here to talk about animal services. I didn't bring props, but if you go to 1650 Gross Road, there's a shelter full of animals for you. But tonight I'm talking about the need for adding staff at our animal services division. We run over 7,000 calls as far as calls for services that you as residents call and ask us to resolve an issue in your neighborhood. We also have 6,000 guests as far as animals that go through our shelter. And also we have 23 months consecutively of a 90% live outcome rate. And that's because we have a great staff, and we can improve those numbers if we have more staffing. Please consider this one.
Okay, this you are voting of what you would want to add. So all those that want to add a pothole repair crew, raise your hand. Okay, and those that want to add 2 animal service officers, raise your hand. Okay, pothole repair crew moves on to the next round. And next we'll have RFID technology at the Mesquite Library and additional mowing crew. And the RFID technology at the Mesquite Library will go first. Yeah.
Once again, I'm the director of the Library Services, and I'm here to talk to you about radio frequency identification. That's the newest thing in libraries. They're getting rid of barcodes with the little scanner, and they're using radio frequency identification because it's more efficient, it's faster, there's more chances for self-service checkouts, and it reduces the amount of repetitive motion that staff members have to use. So it saves time and improves efficiency, it simplifies self-service, and it speeds inventory. RFID is the future of libraries, and the future is here now. Thank you.
Okay. Oh. Virginia, you're this side. Yeah, you have to stay on.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Harrell, Parks and Recreation Director. Raise your hand if you like tall grass and weeds. Just raise your hand. Nobody likes tall grass and weeds. You like tall grass and weeds? Maybe in some of the natural areas. Anyway, Parks and Recreation maintains all of the city-owned green spaces throughout the city. We do this with utilizing city staff and landscape contractors. As the city grows and we expand, the cost of doing business escalates. So we have considered bringing that service in-house and managing that on our own. So remember, if the grass is growing, it needs a mowing. Vote for mowers.
Okay, by show of hands, who would like to add RFID technology at the Mesquite Library? Did you get those? Okay, or additional mowing crew? How many did you get? 8? How many? 10. Okay, so RFID technology at the Mesquite Library moves on. Okay, now we're going to switch back over to the existing programs and services. Up next is social media coordinator and city planner. And social media coordinator will go first.
Hi, my name is Wayne Larson. I'm the communications director for the city. I'm here to support our social media coordinator. How many of you are on social media, have a Facebook account? Raise your hands, please. Keep your hands up, please. How many of you are on Nextdoor? Keep your hands up. Twitter?
Those aren't your votes for him.
I give 5 extra seconds for that interruption. Okay. How many of you, keep your hands up, how many of you find out information somehow, some way through social media about the city? That's excellent. Trelana, will you come on up? Trelana, come on up. Come on. Who are we going against here? If you don't vote for us, sweet, lovely Trelana is going to have to be fired.
Poor Trelana. Okay. Okay.
Wow.
Once again, I'm Jeff Armstrong. I'm Director of Planning and Development Services. City of Mesquite has one of the smallest planning staffs per capita in the North Texas region. And as you heard from Debbie earlier, planning and development is a quality of life issue. So we need to maintain the planning staff as it is so we don't affect our quality of life in a negative way. Doing that affects crime, it affects the quality of our neighborhoods, it affects the quality of our commercial areas, and we don't want to affect any of those because the long-term impact is negative to the community.
Okay, again, this is show of hands of what you would cut. So remember that. So social media coordinator.
Trelana.
Okay, I'm going to let him count because it may be close. Okay, city planner. Okay, how many did you get? 7, 12. Okay, so poor Trelana.
This is an exercise.
So social media coordinator, is cut, and the city planner moves on. Or is safe, I'm sorry, is safe. Okay, next up, environmental code mowing contract and K&B, or Keep Mesquite Beautiful, and volunteer services program. And environmental code mowing contract will go first.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ricardo Rocha. I'm the manager of environmental code. And first off, I'm going off against volunteer services. As far as I know, I thought volunteering was free, so that's fake news. I don't even know why I should get the pass on this one. An environmental code contract, ours is different because ours belong to folks. So these are vacant properties that do have owners, but as you know, if it's vacant, out of sight, out of mind, they're not maintaining it. Currently, we have 40 on a reoccurring list that we're having to take care of. 200 on top of that have been abated by us that could be on a reoccurring contract, and another 200 that have received notices from us. So if we don't take care of it with properties like that, unfortunately, no one will.
I'm also Ricardo's boss, so I remember that. All right, I'm here to talk about Keep Mesquite Beautiful and our volunteer services division. So we process over 450 volunteer applications that impacts every one of our departments. If you were to add up all of our volunteer staff time, it would be close to $114,000 worth of salary that our volunteers give to our community. We also put on great events like Trash Bash and also Mesquite Recycles Day, 2 of those per year. With this program, we impact our community and work to beautify our community. So,
Okay, again, this vote is to cut. So raise of hand if you would want to cut the environmental code mowing contract. Okay, K&B and volunteer services program. Okay, so we would cut the environmental code mowing contract. And K&B and volunteer services is safe. Okay, next we have 8 now to go through. So we're going to go back to new programs and services. And we are going to go against police officer against firefighter. Yikes.
All right, ready?
Oh, you come help him.
It's all over here.
Oh, they're all over there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so police officer goes first.
All right, good evening again. The FBI released their statistics about 3 weeks ago for 2018. There were 27 active shooter incidents in 2018, which 85 people lost their lives and 128 more were injured in these active shooters. 5 of those incidents, almost 20%, one out of every 5, happened at an educational facility. So having someone, a police officer, trained, equipped, and prepared, God forbid, if one of those things happen, because they only last about an average of 10 minutes, and so if we don't have somebody there in the building, people are going to die. And so we need to be prepared for that to happen. And if it does, I want to have somebody there who's willing to engage and sustain a life until the rest of the officers can get there. Thank you.
Again, Mark Kirby, Fire Chief. I mentioned those 12,000 ambulance calls. Of those 12,000 ambulance calls, over half of them we actually transported. So we actually had to use our ambulances to transport those patients to the hospital. So we need some additional ambulances. I don't want at 2 o'clock in the morning to be out of ambulances and have to say, we'll get there as soon as we can, because you need us. So basically, I need 3 firefighters to be able to put that ambulance in service full-time, so it's actually in service at 2 o'clock in the morning. So please support our firefighters.
Okay, so this is by show of hands, and you're voting to add this service. So show of hands, police officer. We'll count good this time. Okay? I'm sorry. And then firefighter. Okay, so police officer moves on to the next round. Okay, we're going to move over to the existing programs and services. So we're going to have public health clinic and summer sizzle.
No.
Those are cut.
Yeah, we're still working through the work. Yeah, you're still cutting. Yeah, we're still working through the cut. So, yeah. So public health clinic will go first.
oh, I don't have a sign this time?
They're all over here.
This is tough. Shots or fireworks? So, again, our public health clinic really services those that have no insurance. It's also relatively low cost to the city of Mesquite. A majority of the vaccinations that are purchased are actually part of a grant program. So we provide a vital protection for those that are in need for relatively low numbers. So, again, public health clinic.
Summer Sizzle, we make people feel good, especially in the community. What need I say, we've got food trucks, live music, children activity, amusement rides, and a spectacular 30-minute fireworks that cannot be seen anywhere in North Texas like that. Summer Sizzle.
Okay, again, this is what you would want to cut between these two. So raise a hands for public health clinic. Okay, Summer Sizzle. Okay, Summer Sizzle moves on and public health clinic is safe. Okay, now we're going to move down to the lower left quadrant and it'll be pothole repair crew and RFID technology at Mesquite Library. Pothole repair crew will go first again. Oh, he's got it.
I don't need to remind you that you have to drive on a road to get to a library. So all of us drive on roads every single day, and having those roads in good repair is essential service to the city of Mesquite. Vote for the pothole repair crew.
Okay.
Throwdown. Virginia Munt, Director of Library Services, again, here about radio frequency identification, because that's the future. If you want people to go to school and learn how to repair those roads and become city planners and firefighters and police officers, they need to come to the library, and we'll be very efficient. We'll save them time. We'll improve the efficiency of the library. We'll simplify self-service, and we'll speed up our inventory at the library with RFID. Thank you.
Okay, you're voting for what you would want to add. So pothole repair crew, raise your hand. Okay, RFID technology. I believe the pothole repair moves on. Okay, now we're going to go back to existing programs and services. So this is going to be the social media coordinator and environmental code mowing contract. And social media coordinator will go first.
By keeping your social media component of communications, we will let you know all of the horrible roads in Mesquite to avoid as you go to the library. By retaining Trelana, she will start a new police department Facebook page and Twitter account to let you know about all the crime going on in Mesquite. No, seriously, social media is very important. It helps keep you involved, engaged, and more informed about your city and your community.
Loser's bracket, so right on. Okay. Well, we're going to need social media, and you could work on the environmental code page as well, because there's going to be a lot of complaints from our citizens if the grass gets so tall in our vacant properties. So they're going to need somewhere to direct that energy. But in all seriousness, we do have quite a decent amount of, I don't want to say a lot, of vacant properties here, and in order to be able to take care of them, we need to be able to have a contractor that's going to be willing and able and capable of taking on that burden. So, thank you.
Okay, so the vote is what you would cut between social media coordinator. So raise your hand if it would be social media coordinator. Okay. Or environmental code mowing contract. What did you get? 7. So environmental code mowing contract will move on to the next round, and social media coordinator is safe. Okay, next is we'll go back to the new programs and services. So we have police officer and pothole repair crew. And police officer will go first.
He's got the gun.
Good evening again. This is one of those rare opportunities in government where there can be a win-win. But what I mean by that is by not only when you approve this, we have an officer and an SRO at that school, but because we have a contract, a memorandum of understanding with MISD, they'll reimburse us half the cost. So you get to recoup some of your tax dollars from MISD. So the biggest portion of your tax bill, you'll get a piece of that back in a police officer, and you only have to pay for half of the cost of the police car, the full cost of that officer. So this is the chance for you to have a win-win. Don't make the right decision, please.
Mesquite is known as a pedestrian-friendly city, and it's going to become more pedestrian-friendly if we don't have another pothole repair crew, because you're going to have to walk where you're going. We're going to have to buy our police officers really nice sneakers to get to their crime scene. Please vote for the pothole repair crew.
Okay, you're voting to add. So everyone raise your hand if you want to add a police officer. Okay, and then pothole repair crew. Oh, okay, police officer moves on. Now we're back to the existing programs and services. We have summer sizzle and environmental code mowing contract. And again, this is you're going to decide which one you would want to cut. And we'll have summer sizzle go first.
Summer sizzle, like I said before, fireworks, fun, family. Vote summer sizzle. We give Trelana something to do, so remember that.
Okay.
I didn't think I was going to be up here this much, so I ran out of witty things to say. But I would say that again, it's easier. I don't know if anybody in here lives next to a vacant property. I'm starting to think that they don't. So when you're driving back home on your way there, and I just want you to think about what we're representing here, and when you see a tall lot, and you're going to stop and think, you know what, maybe we should have voted for that guy. So it's not too late. We have this last round, and make the right decision. Thank you.
Okay, so again, you're voting for what you would cut. So raise a hand if you would cut summer sizzle. Okay, and then environmental code mowing contract. So summer sizzle, it's got okay, so summer sizzle moves on and environmental code mowing contract is safe. Okay, so you'll stay up here, summer sizzle. And we need police officer. Yeah. Yes, and so the city manager will do the championship.
All right, I get to handle the championship. So first of all, I want to thank all of the employees and staff members who participated in this. So y'all give them a big hand, everybody. And if we didn't make this clear, this was just an exercise. These are not programs that we're not making a decision tonight to cut something or add something. But this is to represent the difficult decisions that we have to make each and every year when it comes down to the amount of money that we have to add a new program. And sometimes it gets tight, and we do have to consider what programs do we need to reduce that level of service through less mowing contracts, or in order to fund something else. So are y'all ready to make the tough decision, or do y'all want to just pass? All right, I got somebody's nodding their head over here, so we're going to make the tough decision. So with that, we're not going to make them come up here because Chief Cato will threaten everyone with some sort of a ticket on your way out home tonight. But facing a tough choice, we adding a police officer or cutting our premier event in the city. So a difficult choice. So all in favor of adding a police officer, raise your hand. I think that's a unanimous vote. So, all right. Anybody for summer sizzle besides Yvonne and the parks guys? So again, guys, thank you very much. So we appreciate your efforts. And again, I want to thank everyone here for their participation. So again, it can be difficult sometimes, especially for staff. Everybody who presented tonight, every department director and manager is tied to what they do. They're very passionate. And so we do sometimes have to disappoint staff members who are dedicated and really want a program because they know how beneficial it will be. So are we offline here? There we go. Oh. So we're back on to the PowerPoint. All right, good. So with that, just want to kind of walk y'all through the rest of the process. Like we said, we're going to meet this Friday, beginning at 8 a.m. Council will get an in-depth presentation on all the city's finances. We will have some strategy presentations, and then the council will sit here and discuss issues like this. Fortunately, we're not in a position to where we have to cut something in order to add something, but funds are limited, and if we want to add a lot more, if we want to add more than 3 firefighters and more police officers, there will be times where we have to really consider what we might need to cut, what level of service can we reduce in order to find that funding. So on August 5th, the City Council will have its first public hearing, and that is an opportunity for citizens to come and give their input on different programs and services that we provide. And we will do that same thing again on August 19th and on September 3rd. And then at our last council meeting of the year, of September, the City Council will officially adopt the budget for 2019-2020 and what we do for the upcoming year. So we're giving you another opportunity to provide input tonight. And so if anybody would like to share some input at this time, we've got several council members here and we're going to call them up here shortly. But to give staff feedback on different budget items that you would like to see, anything that we could do better, any programs that you would like to see us do that may be something you see in another city. So we've got time tonight. Actually, would like to spend about 15 or 20 minutes if anybody would like to. So we have a microphone, so just raise your hand and we'll bring the microphone to you. So Ms. White back there.
So I'd like to talk about mowing, if there can be an alternate mowing program where instead of mowing every bit of the lot, that they can start out by just mowing the edges and make a window effect where it looks, the appearance is improved and they don't mow the whole lot yet until it gets out of hand and looks unacceptable, but sometimes just mowing the edge makes it look better.
And that would be on the residential vacant lots or?
Yeah, the residential vacant lots in the whole city, truthfully. Sure. I mean, there's a lot of mowing that doesn't have to be done. It's, that's my opinion.
I think some of us have looked into that for some of our parks and right-of-way mowing, and you'll start seeing, again, that's a budgetary impact. The fewer acres that we have to mow, the less we have to spend on these contracts. And those contracts do get more expensive every year, so thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome, but I've got one caveat, though, is there's some invasive species coming in Mesquite, and so when we don't mow, we really need to pull some weeds that, especially scabiosa, it's a really bad one when it gets going, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anybody else? And we're happy to answer questions, too. It doesn't have to be budget input or anything like that. I would suggest that we stick to our day jobs and not go. Well, at this point, if nobody has anything they want to share, we'll conclude this portion of the program tonight. I would like to invite up our mayor, Stan Pickett, to say a few words, and then we'll allow the council members to share some comments as well. So, Mr. Mayor, it's all yours. Again, on behalf of the staff, thank you for coming, and to all of the staff, thanks for your efforts tonight. We appreciate it.
You know, really, these meetings are for you guys. These meetings are great for us, and we try to attend as many as we can because we get a lot of good input. People give comments and questions, and I just think it's important for us as a city to continue to do that. If you want to come on Friday, we'll be here probably 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. We have plenty of food for you if you want, right? We're city manager. Well, okay. So if you'd like to eat, we'll be going through all the nitty-gritty of the budget and talking about all the departments and things. But, you know, really, I've been very proud of our city manager. We kind of took a shift in budget a few years ago where we try to budget for the outcomes. And by outcomes, we're talking about what budgetary items benefit you the most. And I think that's a different way of looking at it rather than where can we spend the money. How do we spend the money and that impacts our city and our citizens the best? And so that's what we're trying to do. We may not always hit the bullseye, but for the most part, I think we do a pretty good job of that. Everybody says my money, my money, my money, and it is. I work hard for my money, and we have homes, and we pay our taxes, and we have a certain level of expectation. And I would also tell you to continue to keep those expectations high. Keep expecting the best out of whoever is in office in Mesquite, Texas, and I think that's important for us as well. So you don't come to hear us talk, but we've got several of our council members here today. So our Mayor Pro Tem, which is Mr. Burrows, I almost did that wrong. If you'd like to come up, and then we'll follow Mr. Alamon and Bruce Archer, Councilman Archer. I think that's all that's here. Okay.
Thank you for y'all taking time out of your busy nights to come up here and listen to these great things. I'd just like to tell you that our council, this year, we received a budget booklet. It's 838 pages long that we're going through line by line to see. It's up to our council to go through and see if there's anything that we can possibly cut. Our city manager has told our directors, in the next year with the new legislation that's been passed, it's going to get tighter and tighter. And Cliff has told our directors to do the best you can to cut everything you can because in the future it's going to get tight. So let's start now. So I just want to affirm with all of our citizens out there watching that this council is doing the best they can do to take care of your taxpayer money to get you everything that you can. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for coming as well tonight. And I just wanted to find out for sure if Trelana still has a job before we leave. Because she's safe. Okay, this was great tonight, Debbie Mole. I don't know who came up with this idea to do this illustration like this, because this was a great illustration. Debbie and Myra. Let's clap our hands for them because and we've got some great comedians on our staff. I particularly like Ricardo back there. I mean, you have some really serious expressions on your face that goes a long way. But everybody did a great job. I just want to say I really appreciate the way that Debbie Mole started the evening with citizen survey, because that helps us a lot. We need to know what the citizens are thinking. We need to know what the citizens are saying. We need to know what they feel about their city, because we're reminded as councilmen again that this city belongs to the people. It belongs to all of us. So I just echo what the mayor said earlier, and we do take it serious, and we do listen, and we will be here at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we appreciate all of the input of the citizens of Mesquite. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you.
Well, I'll echo what a fantastic job our staff did tonight. Let's also thank them one more time. That's very educational. We want our residents to have an inside understanding of how we deal with your tax dollars. You know, the budget, along with appointing 4 major employees for this city and making policy, really without the budget, as a council, we really wouldn't do much of anything. All the various services that we rely on, and you saw some of those tonight, all that goes down to whether or not we have the tax dollars to move those programs forward or not. And we've just gone through a very different time in our state with the legislature approving the appraisal cap legislation. And, you know, and I think I understand to an extent because we can only continue to take on those extra property increases every year to a point where folks just can barely make it, and we're not a rich city in terms of tax dollar potential. You know, what a penny in Mesquite doesn't go near as far as a penny increase in Plano, Texas. So you've heard some of my colleagues speak eloquently tonight about we're going to have to look at some things differently. We're going to have to watch that budget a little bit tighter, and I agree with that 100%. We're going to be looking a little bit deeper, taking a deeper dive and looking at all the things that we may not be able to do that we'd like to do, but obviously you saw some of the priorities that were discussed here tonight. There'll be some difficult decisions for us Friday and the coming days after that. But I'm really encouraged. I really believe that if we can adapt, we can overcome. If we get really serious by continuing to do whatever it takes to roll the red carpet out for new business in this town to help shoulder that tax burden off of property owners or residential property owners and pay for those services that we need. We can do that well. I think it'll make us better. The discipline that will come from this time of a new era of budgeting and tighter budgets will get better. We'll work with you. And I want to echo what was also said. Please don't let us have budget hearings at city council meetings where no one comes and says anything. Then you're upset later because it didn't go the way you want it to go with that particular budget item. So come tell us, equip us with information so we can make good decisions on what's best for your future because you're the boss. You, the citizens, are in charge. We are your messengers. We are your advocates. We're your servants. But I believe we can do good things in the future and keep providing good services. It'll be different, but I think it'll even be better. So proud to be a part of this. God bless you all, Mayor and Mr. Kahili. Thank you all for putting all this together.
Thank you. All right. They wanted me to remind you that staff, all these guys that made these presentations, all work here at the city, and they'll be around to answer questions. Council will be around to answer questions, and so I would remind you, and you've heard from all of us, the input that you give us is probably the most paramount input we need to be hearing. And even if you can't come to any of these hearings, which we'd love to have you, email us, call us, text us, whatever information, snail mail, send us something we'll get it. But thank you all tonight. City manager says we're dismissed, and hopefully if you haven't had dinner, you can go eat, and if not, we'll be happy to answer anything you have for us. Thank you for being here.